Hey guys, how's it going? This is Raspberry Technician. Got one of these Raspberry Pis for Christmas. Thought it'd be fun to, as I was learning about it and everything, how to use it, how to set different things up, thought it'd be fun to give that information in a localized channel for you guys, as well as provide tech support. So hopefully if you have a question about how to do something with your Raspberry Pi, it'll be in one of my videos. Now if it's not, or you're having problems with some the setups that I use or anything, some error messages, anything like that, please email me at raspi-tech93@gmail.com. That's going to be spelled just like the name is here without the dash, so just raspi-tech93@gmail.com. So let's get started. You just got your Raspberry Pi, and it looks nothing like this because I'm actually recording in Windows. Don't worry, that won't be a problem. I'm going to show you how to get to the setup I am. Your desktop should look like this, which is pretty neat. Now, to be honest with you guys, using the Windows desktop is not the optimal way of dealing with your Raspberry Pi, obviously. The Raspberry Pi desktop is actually just pretty phenomenal for what it does. And if I could get a good video recording in my Raspberry Pi, that's what I would use, is just the Raspberry Pi. But I've got NVIDIA drivers already set up, and I've already got a recording set up for another channel that I do on Windows. So I just use a video network connection, a VNC. I'm going to show you guys how to do this in case you want to do the same. But otherwise, feel free to follow along with just the Raspberry Pi background desktop. So in this video, what I'm hoping to do for you guys is show you how to set up a VNC, which is what you kind of see in the background here. I want to show you guys how to set up an SSH session in PuTTY, and I want to show you how to set up SSH in CMD or in OSX, which I can't show you the OSX, but I can explain it. Now you may be wondering, if I already have my Pi plugged in, and I have my desktop and my mouse, my keyboard, it's all plugged in, why would I want any of that? The answer is probably you don't, just being honest. The reason you want that kind of stuff is so you can plug your Raspberry Pi in and not have to continuously, move it to a new location, plug it into a video display, plug in a mouse and keyboard, and then get all that set up. Ideally, what would be nice is if you're on the same local area connection, you should be able to just plug in the power and remote into it, and that's what this is kind of be for. So this is how I have mine set up for this, so I'll show you how to do that. The very first thing we want to do is turn VNC on, so just type in VNC server, and you'll see all this pop up. This is just a process that doesn't take place in the boot up, so you have to turn it on and configure it this way. Now what you'll see is when you type it in, you get this IP address right here with a port. Now, I'm already connected through port 1, so I'm going to kind of ignore this. But when you type it in, and it should give you port 1 first. If it gives you another port, it means that it's been opened up multiple times. So you see new desktop is Pi 3. And that's because it actually has 3 different ports. So I could have potentially 3 different computers connected right now, 3 different VNC sessions to my Raspberry Pi. Now, you'll want to copy this number, and in Raspberry Pi, you can't actually Control-C, so right-click, copy. And actually I say copy, you're not going to be able to do it that way, so I apologize. But you want this number, so write this down on paper or on Notepad. So I'm going to do mine. Now what you're going to want to do is go to your desktop that you're going to be working on. So mine's the Windows, and open up this right here. Now I'm going to include this in the description, that way you can just copy paste it or click on it. But you want to go to realvnc.com. I'm going to be downloading for Windows, but you have all these OSs, so if you're using anything else, feel free. You'll notice iOS and Android are available, so if you wanted to set up a desktop on your phone, which is kind of fun but not useful really, but it is fun, you can download the app for your phone and remote in as well. So just download and install this. When you're done with that and you open it, you should get something that looks just like this. I would pin this down to your taskbar, especially if you're going to use it often. And what you want to do here is type in your IP address. So ours was :1. Now everyone's going to be slightly different. Just use the number that, again, you see on your Raspberry Pi desktop right here when you typed in VNC server. I'm doing the 1 because I know that one is like the default one. I could use 3 just like it has. Hit enter, and it's going to ask for your username and password. There should be a default password if you haven't set one up already. That should work. So use that. I've already changed mine, so I'm just using my new password. There you go. And now I've got my VNC. So pretty cool. I've got an actual desktop and everything without having to plug in a video cable and all of that jazz. Let's go ahead and clear this out. And we're going to set up SSH next. So what we actually need to do is first turn SSH on with the Raspberry Pi. It's not defaulted on, it's actually defaulted off. I don't really know why, but that's how it is. So what we want to type is sudo raspi config. Now what this basically means, this is obviously Raspberry Pi configuration, and then sudo is super user do this. Just a quick little background on super user do this. Essentially, since Pi is not the administrator, if you would, in Linux you call that root. So since it's not the root user, it has limited things that it can do, and configurations is not one of them. So you type sudo to allow it to kind of use root privileges to open it, and in case you're wondering why they just don't give you all the perms, what it does is it actually creates a log of who's using sudo and for what. So if you're, let's say if it's actually set up as a server, which we'll get to eventually, the root can actually kind of monitor who's doing what with super user versus the root user can't be monitored. So that's the difference really. What we want is interface options right here and SSH. We're going to turn that on. And when it says it's okay, you're just going to kind of hit finish. And let's say you didn't do the VNC because you knew you wouldn't want to display that. You're just doing a simple SSH. You still need your IP address. So let's pretend we don't know it for now and type in hostname -I. Now this is a lot to take in, but it's really two different IP addresses. This is what they call an IPv6 IP address, which is much more secure, and this is an IPv4. For SSH, we're just using the IPv4. So the next step is going to actually be to download PuTTY. It's just putty.org. I'll have that in the description as well, and you're going to click on this one. None of this, just PuTTY. Download and install PuTTY and go ahead and open that up. And you should have something that kind of looks like this. And you see it says hostname or IP. Let's go ahead and type in that IP address we had. And for now, don't save it. Just hit open. And you notice this says log on, Pi, and then your password. And voila, we're logged in. And this actually will work as a terminal session. It has the same bash commands and everything as your Raspberry Pi. So we can just go ahead and start doing everything that we could on our Pi from here. So that's pretty useful, especially if you have like a laptop or something and you have a Pi. You can just plug the Pi into power, turn SSH on, and then you don't need a full display connection and everything for it. You can just remote in from your laptop and work from there. Again, only if you're on a local area connection. So make sure you're on the same network. If you're on a different network and it's not a static IP, it will not work. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and close that. And you'll notice I didn't save it. I do already have one saved down here, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's go ahead and delete these two. And again, let me just real quick kind of show you what's going on because I didn't pause on it. I just showed you how to set that up. When you open this up and you type in Pi, you'll notice right here that it actually says, well, I didn't mean to get that, just Pi at in your IP address. So that's who it's logging in as. Kind of to prove that, let's type in here pi at and then your IP address. And we're going to go ahead and give it a name, so I'm just going to name it pi and save. Go ahead and open that up, and when you open that up, you'll notice it's already logging in as pi and it just needs a password. So that's the better way of using PuTTY. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you there. Whoops. But it is kind of cool. So get it saved that way, and that way it's an easy SSH login from there, and we'll go over keygen later, and then you won't even have to type in a password. That's pretty cool as well. And lastly, let me just show you guys really quick how to use CMD and OSX. Now, OSX was always this simple. You just opened up iTerm, typed in SSH and the IP. The real nice thing is if you have an updated version of Windows 10, you can do this in command prompt now. Now, it's only for Windows 10, and it's only one of the more up-to-date versions of it. So if you don't have that, just stick with PuTTY. And I'll be honest, PuTTY's better anyways. So just use PuTTY. But if you have iTerm or you prefer CMD, you can actually just type in SSH pi at 10.0.1.16. So pi and then your IP address. Don't necessarily copy mine, use yours. And there you go. So pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, and this is why I don't like CMDs. It just, there's every now and then it just acts kind of weird. You see it's got 2 of those. I don't know why. All I did was type clear. There we go. Yeah, it just acts weird sometimes. PuTTY's a lot stronger. I would definitely recommend PuTTY over CMD. But iTerm is pretty flawless, so that one would work instead of PuTTY. I would just use that instead of PuTTY. So if you did everything correctly now, you should be able to have a VNC connection, so we can actually just see our desktop and everything use terminal through our Pi as if this was the background. You should have a working SSH session in PuTTY and an SSH session either in CMD or iTerm. If none of that, if one of those wasn't working correctly for you, please message me or email me again at raspi-tech93@gmail.com, and I will see what I can do to help you out with that, guys. But that's pretty simple stuff just to kind of get us set up. Until the next video, I'll see y'all later.